Thanks for joining me, Rhys.
No problem.
Basically, the purpose of this platform is to give people an opportunity to have a voice, and to basically discuss kind of, what they've been through. And the idea is if we can help some other young people and help some professionals, everyone's winning. So obviously we've got Rhys here today, someone I've known for quite a while.
It's been a while now, hasn't it?
It's come a long way.
It's been a while. It's been a long way.
Yeah, and done well. And just thought...
Things have changed a lot.
Yeah, and just thought it'd be powerful just giving an opportunity to, hearing your story.
No, 100%. And that's exactly why I decided that I wanted to do and come onto this and do this with you, was because I wanted to, show my story and tell other people about it to then help others. Do you know
No, I respect that.
It's something as well that I actually feel like I'd want to do myself going forwards in setting up things like projects and stuff like that to help others. Do you know what I mean? And people who have been in the same sort of situation that I have, the younger generation now, I mean, we all know what's going on in
Do we? Some people do, but all right. But I tell you what, let's start. Let's go for. So, just I don't know. So, talk a little bit about yourself, growing up, your journey.
So I would say realistically, obviously, from a young age, obviously, growing up without a father would probably be. I always say, any young man growing up without a father usually is going to fall into a bad crowd because they're always going to look for a role model. Always.
But are they always looking for negative role models?
Sometimes they can find a good one. Of course
Depends,
they can. It's very lucky if they do. However, devil finds work for idle hands. So these young people with no father on the scene and single mother, nothing to do, where are they going to find that good role model? Do you know what I mean? There's probably more bad ones than there are good ones, realistically. Especially when we're talking about things like exploitation, grooming, all the things are the problems that we've got in the UK right now, all the things that I was exposed to and victimized of. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there was a time in my life when, I don't know how quickly you want to get into all this stuff.
Wait, let me just stop you a sec, yeah? When you're some of those buzzwords like victimization, like exploitation and all that kind of stuff, and there are good role models, bad role models. Issue I see is that there are good role models out there who are just out there doing their thing and will help anybody if anybody asks for help. Yeah. But I feel like you've got some guys out there who know what they're doing in terms of exploiting. So they will prey on those young people who
of course
don't really know what's going on.
And they're looking
so they'll
for
target them.
Yeah, and the thing is these older people who are doing them sort of things know and seek out them younger ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
So like, I'm not being funny. Like, you're sitting outside a Pru or a children's home waiting for a little young Donny to run past and you're like, yo, what's going on? Pair of Jordans, let me take you for food. You're clearly like onto something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're not
and you know what's funny? Is that is basically exactly what happened to me in terms of how I got roped into the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? As soon as I was kicked out of my mum's house, about 16, as I got put into supported accommodations.
What was that like?
No support at all, really. Do you know what I mean? I think they're terrible. I think they're terrible places because I think as well as jails as well, but I'll go into that maybe later. But supported accommodation, I think is just a terrible, terrible idea. You're basically putting a load of troubled youths together to live together. The amount of drugs that goes on in there.
But let me just stop you there, but it depends what kind of supported accommodation. Because you have different models of supported accommodation. So you have I remember doing some work with a charity like Bernardo's, they had supported accommodation where a family would potentially take a young person in. So they might only take one person in.
So I'm talking
or
about...
then you've got your foyers.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then you've got your YMCA places.
The YMCAs and the foyers are the ones I'm talking about. So I got put in, the first one I got put in was the YMCA. And I don't know if I can name exactly.
I mean, let's not try to
draw them out.
Yeah, let's not try to.
It was a YMCA one anyway.
Make any organisations look negative. I'm sure, to be honest, as a professional,
a
lot of negative organisations out there.
No. And do you know what it is though as well? I'll be so honest. And I remember actually there was one time, and I'm not going to say her name on here. She was the manager, and there was a time, I was 16 years old. Yeah, this is a long time ago now. We're talking, I'm 23, so what's that? Like 7 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago, really. Do you know what I mean? And I was an emotional kid, and there was a lot of stuff going on inside of this supported accommodation. Yeah,
Like what?
drugs, mainly. Everybody's using drugs.
Yeah,
Everybody's doing this.
but that, some of that is a form of escapism, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. But what I'm saying, but my point was, and this is what I'm actually getting to, is the thing is, and this is what I said to the manager at the time, was I was kicking off because they was basically putting me on some sort of restrictions or something because they smelled weed in my room. And I was like, do you not realise everyone in this whole entire building smoking weed? Or worse.
Yes, I know that, but...
Do you know what I mean?
But,
so I was 16 at any rate, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I was kicking off, to be honest. Realistically, looking back, I was just throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, I get it. If your
But my
status...
point was like, if you knew what was going on in all of these rooms, then everyone would be evicted. And she said to me, quite cleverly, and I appreciated her for this, she says to me, exactly. She said, and that's why we don't. Because if we was to know what was going on behind every single one of these doors, no one would live here.
Okay,
so
but let me just...
that's why they want
but obviously you've got laws and stuff here, what are in place here. So if that is going on, it ain't something which they almost have to, hope that it's not and turn a blind eye as of such, maybe.
Of course, but what I'm saying is you hope that there's more support for these people.
No, I get that. But if someone's
not
in that... But if someone's in that... Yeah, but what my point is, yeah, you've been given this supported accommodation, but on top of that, there needs to be some kind of package because being kicked out, being by yourself, struggling at such a young age where you're still becoming an adult, it's going to be traumatising. You don't know what they've dealt with, what's been going on in their background and what's gone on in their life. Some people may have been abused and exploited, as you're saying, 100%. And have not had the opportunity to talk to anybody or to even express what they're going through.
Mostly that's the case.
No, of course. So
you know what I mean?
When you're there within your own thoughts and it's that form of escapism, all right, let's smoke some joints, let's drink, let's do whatever.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, do you know what I mean?
No.
Still smoke weed.
No. I'm saying that's what, from my experience, talking to young people, and even some adults who have never ever really had the opportunity to express or to talk about things that have gone on. That's what they choose to.
Yeah, of course it is. Do you know what I mean? I think at that time, obviously, people weren't just smoking weed. I mean, there was people who were injecting fucking heroin and shit. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean? Like that's deep, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? And I was just a bit.
How old? So what age group was it?
So 16 to 25. But this is what I was saying before, right? Was I feel like these supported accommodations, these YMCAs and foyers and places like this, is basically just a setup for fail. Because realistically, you're basically it's basically like a troubled youth club.
Yeah.
And living together 24/7. So there's going to be problems. The amount of fights that broke out, the amount of evictions, then causes more homelessness, more kids to be homeless, more kids. And then what they're going to do? So you're going to kick a kid out, right? Because he's had a problem with someone who, even in my experience, who I've actually come to them before, I've come to staff and I've said, there's a problem going on between this person and this person, X, Y, Z, right? I've said, something's going to happen. Nothing's happened about it. Problems happened. Now them two are both evicted. That's now 2 homeless kids that could have been avoided.
But I think it's almost, let me just cover a couple of points, it's almost like an amped up version of like what happens in your Prues, for example. If you put too much of that same kind of person in that same environment and there's not adequate support there for them, then it's not necessarily going to be a good look, is it? Yeah? Because
of course.
Look what happened. But then you've also got this, which is happening when they're older. With some of the foyers, I've done some work with foyers, to be fair, not too much with YMCA. And I mean, I haven't got a bad thing to say about a lot of these organisations. I might not necessarily have anything positive to say either, yeah? But I'm not really one who's come with an opinion, but done a good piece of work, me and one of my colleagues, foyers where we go there and do some food with them and cook and get some ingredients and show them these basic life skills.
But you see, is that there? Those are the things that are the positives. And these are the things that we should be doing more of. And they should be putting in place. I remember I used to do a garden club thing in that same YMCA, right? That was my favourite day. Yeah, I'm 16. I'm being groomed during these times by all the older lot. They're making me sell this, sell that.
But what does being groomed look like?
Being grooms look like, now, looking at it now, from Do you know what I mean? Nearly being 23.
Like, yeah, man, you're my younger,
being
innit?
back at 16.
I'm gonna look after you, innit?
Straight away, of course it is.
There's a KFC, bro. Run shop, there's
Here's
a
a bit
tenner.
of freebies, Don't worry with me, like, dude, they got a bit more reputation. Do you know what I mean? So you want to be in with them.
So wait.
You want to look like they're your mate.
So let's
when they're not really your mate.
just for clear for people. So olders who are there, you're there younger, throw you a bit of dough, little KFC or look after you.
If
yeah,
that.
you're us. You're like, this is us,
Yeah.
And then you think, oh yeah, it's my mate. Like people know, no one's gonna mess with me.
Of course,
because of
but
him.
do you know what else it comes back to? Is my original point of having no role model. Because now you look at them like a role model. So I remember when this was first happening, I see Gucci belt, money in the pocket.
Straight from Turkey.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They ain't got no money. They're living in the foyer.
20 quid from Turkey.
They're living in the foyer, but they can afford a Gucci belt.
20 quid from Turkey.
Ridiculous, right? But as a young kid, you look at that and you think, I want a Gucci belt. And then they're making fake phone calls about talking about, oh, you owe money, this, girls, this, and you're thinking,
what fake phone calls?
Yeah, bro, because of course they do. They do. And I would call, I remember I had one guy and he used to do it every single time. And he would call me and then for a minute and a half, keep me on the phone and pretend like he's having a conversation with somebody else about all the money that he's got and this and that and the other, and then go, oh, shit, what, Rhys, how long you been on the phone? And I'm like, bruv, like, you've done this every single time. Like, what are you talking about?
Really?
Swear to God, yeah. Because he's stunting. And he wants me to think that I don't know that, do you know what I mean? So it's that sort of thing. So he's there going, oh yeah, like, yeah, I shagged her too, shagged her friend, And then another phone call, he's like, oh yeah, just picked up a bag of him. Another girl owes me 2 bags. Just picked up 5 bags today, went shopping. Oh Rhys, what, are you there? Oh shit, sorry, my bad. Just talking about money, innit? What, do you know what I mean? He's talking shit. He knows what he's doing. He just wants to impress. So that I think, what, he just spent 5 bags? What, he's done this, he's done that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, cool. All right, that's interesting. So, all right, so when we're looking at, so obviously, so all this is going on, is this before you're 16 or when you're 16?
Well, I mean, it started before I was 16, but I would say realistically when I got more involved with actual serious crime, county lines, grooming, that sort of thing. Grooming into doing county lines and like kind of larger crimes.
So what, was you going...
That was part, when I got thrown into...
So what, was you going OT?
Yeah.
Where'd you
all
go?
The way up. So I was coming from Brighton. So they actually had a coastal line and a line that went from Brighton straight into East Croydon. So it went from East Croydon, Crawley, Haywards Heath, Burgess-Hill.
What were we talking about, the train?
Yeah, literally. So it was literally, I'd be on a train.
Yeah, Southern train.
Because I got arrested at the train station with crack, heroin, 3 phones, cash. Literally slapped the cuffs on me straight away.
So what? So
I got arrested. I got arrested for this.
So hold up. So you went to Croydon, yeah, and you got given 3 phones.
Nah, so the guys were from London and I never even met the guys. He had a runner drop me the stuff in Brighton.
So what, he dropped the stuff to you in Brighton and then you got nicked straight away?
Who actually used to bring me the stuff, yeah. And I still see her about today. I don't think she knows.
So the girl dropped you all the stuff off in Brighton?
So she dropped me the food and he would call me and give me the instructions. And he'd basically say, this guy's at this spot. Well, there wasn't just one guy.
So he'll be like, give you postcodes, like go there, go
there.
Yeah, no,
they'd have spots. So say in Burgess-Hill, they'd go, oh, the telephone box on the side of in Brighton, it was the car park behind Waitrose.
But all the punters will always meet you at that same spot?
Yeah.
That's red hot, isn't it?
Literally. So that's what I'm saying.
So like with that,
and then I went to all the way to Worthing. So all the way to Worthing and then also Eastbourne. So the coastal line as well, doing all that as well. And it was crazy. And the 3 phones, and this is what was crazy about it, and this is why in court they obviously proved my innocence so much, was because on the phones, it was like Nokia phones, like brick phones, yeah? It had groups of Eastbourne, Peacehaven, East Croydon, Burgess-Hill, of contact groups yeah, linked to the phone. So you can see it's a county line phone running from all different types of things. And I had these phones on me, which I got arrested with, obviously. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously in court, it was proven, obviously I was a victim of modern day slavery. That, do you know what I mean? I was being forced to do these things. I was a child.
NRM.
NRM, yeah, National Referral Mechanism. And I didn't need to appear. I was actually in jail when this court case was going on for a separate crime. That was for
that was like a new thing though. Was you inside like on remand or something, and then
no, I was sentenced by that point. I was sentenced by that point, and then because I was terrified, because I got 3.5 years for a robbery, right, which was again something we can talk about, but I was already on 3.5 years, and I remember they come to my door. This is when I was in Cookham Wood, by the way, so I was 16, 17. Yeah, still young, right? And I remember them coming to my door, just slipping the paper under my door. Possession with intent to supply class A, possession with intent to. And I'm thinking, fuck, I'm going to be in jail for like the next.
Forever.
Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, I'm fucked. I'm already doing 3.5 years. And they're going to do me for this too?
Getting an ostrich.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I'm fucked now. Sorry, swearing again. I'm thinking, you know what I mean? And then I remember my solicitor having a phone call with the solicitor, and she said she's basically going to appear in court for me. They've put forward a referral to the NRM, and it's looking likely that nothing's going to be pressed. And I remember getting a letter under my door again saying all charges have been dropped, and the relief, I was like, yeah, okay, that's all right. And that was the only, and to be fair, and since that day, and since I left jail, I've never committed a crime ever again. Do you know what I mean?
So like
since being over the age of 18, I've never committed a crime.
So you're one of those who obviously go into jail. So you've obviously hit rock bottom, because I remember you've hit rock bottom, ended up going to prison and stuff, like going through that experience, coming back, and you're just like, you know what, I need to switch things up and do things properly.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't actually that until the second time round. So the first time round, right, I actually come to like it there. Being young.
Come to like what?
Being in jail.
Why is that? Was you around there with your friends or what?
It wasn't. It was more of was for one. I don't really have that much family. Do you know what I mean? I've grown up without my father, without a solid foundation. No, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. Do you know what I mean? I had loads of girls on the phone sending me pictures. Do you know what I mean? So that was like something that I liked. Do you know what I mean? I was like thinking, I'm going to come out and what am I going to do? See them all? That's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I like the fact that I can call them when I want to. They can't contact me. They're always missing me. Do you know what I mean? I've got all my CDs. I've got a PlayStation. I'm here. I'm like 18 years old now. I was about 16 months in. So I've done over a year. I know the place. I know the officers. And there's nothing for me outside.
All right, but then so that's what a lot of people must have similar experiences then, yeah? Being like that, thinking, man, that's more difficult on the streets.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly how I felt. So when I come out, I was terrified. And to be honest, all I wanted to do was go back. Yeah? So I'm 18 now, on tag, freshly released. And all I wanted to do was go back. Do you know, it's subconsciously.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, I think it was
because you're used to that and you kind of know how that runs. I was
comfortable there. That cell that I had, I was there for a while. And to be fair, it was the first place since leaving my mother's that I'd lived for longer than 3-4 months, because I've been passed around all these different supported accommodations.
So I suppose you felt settled, and you felt that was
it wasn't going nowhere. Yeah. I knew for a fact that I will be banged up at 7 and EastEnders and Hollyoaks will come on. I know I'm gonna wake up in the morning and it's sosh, and I know the gyms at this. It's just set. The routine's there, and it's something that I never have had. Do you know what I mean? I didn't. School wasn't really pushed upon me. Do you know what I mean? No one ever made me go to school, so I kind of just didn't really see the point in it. No one was there to tell me about school. When I met you,
so all right. So before we go on, let's talk about education then. As you're talking about then, so obviously, let's look at the whole school thing, yeah? So all of this has happened, bit of a madness, ended up going to jail, but leading up to that, so obviously when you were involved in some of the programs and stuff at the Albion, doing all the gym and fitness stuff, you was quite focused then, to be fair.
That's what I was going to say. that was actually the only time. And that's why, do you know what? I felt a little hard done by the fact that they put me in jail around that time. Because that was when I actually first started to engage and change my life around. It's when I met you, and obviously you was like my first kind of like role model to someone who was like, do you know what I mean? Not a criminal, basically. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You go to the gym. Do you know what I mean? You look good. You're strong. A strong man. It's like something I can look up to.
Yeah, like as a kid, trying to change.
Yeah, and you're here helping all these other kids. Do you know what I mean? And you're there for them. So that respect become almost instantly. Do you know what I mean? Because you can see the passion. You can see the passion of that you care about what you're doing rather than ticking boxes like some other professionals do. So it makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, that could be...
There's a lot of professionals that I've worked with in my life that I would say that they was basically just there to just come and tick the box to say, yeah, Rhys was seen today.
So do you
As
feel...
with you, I felt the care.
But do you feel that that's because maybe some of them doesn't understand you, or what?
I think I actually personally believe, and this is very harsh for you, I know that. However, I do actually believe that a few of them that I worked with, and I'll say a few of them because it wasn't all of them, some of them are, do you know what I mean? Some of them are okay. But I had some dealings with a really bad ones that I don't even understand why they're even doing a job. Do you know what I mean? I don't even understand why they're in that job or in that industry because they don't care.
What do you think could be done differently? And like, obviously, you said, you know, us having that kind of connection based on you knowing that I'm passionate and wanting to help you.
But that's it though. But I think if you're going into a role of youth support, right, you're going to be a youth support worker or a social worker or you name it, right? Even in working in schools, right? How are you going to not like kids? Do you know what I mean? How are you gonna have a problem with children? How does it happen?
I doubt any of them go into it thinking, I don't like kids. I reckon that
of course they don't. Of course they don't.
They probably do, but then sometimes like there's some stigmas, like a part of kind of this as well, yeah? I work with a lot of social workers. I work with some really good social workers.
Yeah.
No, but generally I like to think that they all want to do the right thing, but we go about it in different ways. But it's about trying to understand young people.
That's what I'm saying. And when you said that there, like straight away my head's like, no way.
But it's about trying to understand because...
I probably, in my life, right, I've probably had about 10 different social workers.
But that's maybe because some of them, just like with school are overrun, might end up with a caseload of like 20 kids or whatever. And
some of them leave, some of them have gone, some of them have done this, some of them have that, some of them have got a new job.
But sometimes it's burnout. Before I was going to go to uni, I wanted to be a social worker. And I was like doing a lot of research and saw that a lot of them having these big caseloads, and this was around about baby P times, and some of the like burning out. That's why a lot of them are working part-time. And I mean, you can't really, I don't know if it's more support what's needed. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
But I think there are probably a lot of professionals who they want to be doing that frontline work and doing the work with those young people.
You think that they don't know how?
No, I just
don't know how to go about it.
I think sometimes you might just be overwhelmed with too much. If you've got too much and you've got all these reports what you need to write, then you're spending a lot of time in the office doing the reports, and then you're only having a limited amount of time with those.
Of course, but I also believe though that if you're passionate about something, no matter how much work it takes, you'll do it. Regardless.
Yes, I know that, but if you've only got 40 hours in the week and you've got to go all around the county, for example, seeing all the young people, then doing reports up and court appearances and everything else, then it can be difficult. Listen, I just try to play devil's advocate, innit? I'm not for or against.
I know, of course.
I sometimes try and bridge that gap because I understand some of what they go through, and then I understand.
Yeah, because you've been on the other side of it and you've seen it.
And then I understand like how the young people are feeling at times when 7 o'clock they're trying to shout at their social worker because they got nowhere to live or their mum's kicked them out, and you're getting a voicemail.
Yeah, of course.
What do you mean voicemail? Like, I ain't got nowhere to go. You're meant to be my person. Like, tell me you're there.
That's it.
No. Yeah, but then I get it that if you leave your phone on all the time.
But the thing is, they turn their phone off at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Work hours. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, there are some teams, there are out of hours, because I've worked with, we work until later, but I get it.
I'll tell you this is not a long story, right? But I'll tell you this, right? This is very recently because I'm currently flat searching, right? To find my own place. Yeah. After a long
So you're a care
period
leaver?
of time. Technically, because I was when I was 16, they did a thing where like basically my mum, they signed a thing.
Section 47. Yeah. So
Their care
the local authority is in
in
charge,
charge of taking
So you're okay.
care
Okay.
leaver, yeah.
Okay.
Even though I wasn't in care homes.
Yeah, but you've come because of
Yeah, because
being
I was
here,
in the
being there,
duty
whatever.
of the.
So then, as soon as you get to a certain age, they're like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
well, yeah, the local authority are going to be in charge of
but
housing
this is
you and all
what I
that.
was saying back on our last point, right? Was what was it that you said before? What was it you were just saying before? Oh yeah, about them turning their phones off at 8 or work hours, right? This is what I'm saying, right? I've got a story about this. Like I said, I'm flat searching at the moment, yeah? And while I'm flat searching, obviously the council are helping me, right? They're helping me. And they are helping me, right? They are helping me. Housing Solutions, they're doing a really good job and they are doing what they're meant to be doing. However, right? I was there at the council from 9 a.m. all the way up till 6 p.m. Yeah. All day. Till talking about stuff that they was like, imagine I've not been in prison for 2 years, right? I've gone and sat down with them. They've gone to me. Oh, so we can see that you've just left prison. And I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm like, I haven't been in prison for like over 2 years. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, our data must be wrong. Oh, and
What do you mean your data's wrong? This is my life.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Do you know what I mean? They're like,
What are you talking
they're
about?
like to me, and we can see that you're an active drug user. I'm like, I've been to rehab and I've been sober for nearly a year and a half. I'm like, so what are you talking about? In the time that they're talking about, I've been engaged, traveled the world, made. Do you know what I mean? Like,
So it's almost like they're quick to update the negatives, but nobody's put any of the positives
this is
on
exactly what I said to them. I said to them, if I was to write a list, right, or in 5 years of your life of every mistake that you make, right, yeah, you'd probably look like a bad person, yeah, because you ain't wrote nothing good. You've never asked me anything or seen anything positive that I've done, nor taken the time to. You think I've just left prison? I ain't been in prison for years, so you don't even have the right data. But anyway, what I was saying was, this is what they done to me, right? So I don't have anywhere to live, right? Because I'm waiting for them to house me, yeah, to get my own flat, right? Yeah, so basically they sent me to this place after being there all day, discussing my life story, having to basically tell them that they're wrong.
Update their
so
files.
it was a whole roller coaster of a day of emotions. Do you know what I mean? Because for them to judge me based on basically a person I was when I was 18 and now I'm 22. Do you know what I mean?
4 years,
It's
a long
completely
time.
different. It's like I wouldn't house 18-year-old Rhys either. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I wouldn't look at that file and think, oh yeah, this is a really good guy, let's give him a flat.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? No way. But 22-year-old me, who's now, like I say, made positive change in his life, worked full-time jobs. Do you know what I mean? I was nearly an assistant owner of a company. I've been engaged, had holidays, had a new family. Like, where's all this wrote down? But what I'm saying is, right, so it got to 6 p.m. They've put me in this place. They gave me the keys at 6 p.m., right? I got the keys. They were just shutting. They gave me the keys, signed off everything, right? I've got to this place straight away, open the door. The bed's smashed up. There's no mattress on it, right? There's bloody tissues from crack needles, from where people have been pinning up in there. There's heroin paraphernalia all over the sides, fag butts and glass covered in the ground. The floorboards are pulled up, yeah? The curtains are all ripped.
What? And they're expecting you to live there?
And they thought, and they're saying, I'm homeless. Here's somewhere for you to stay tonight.
But have you noticed?
Do you know what I mean?
What time they close? 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've called them.
So they give you the keys just before 6.
Just before they've closed.
Knowing that you're going to go there, kick off, and you got no one to talk to. Wow.
So I'm calling them. Obviously, their phones are off now because they're all just left work. Where am I meant to stay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably like, well, you're not that homeless. Go and stay where you stayed last night.
Obviously. Yeah. But what I'm saying is they don't know that. Do you know what I mean? For all they know, I'm genuinely, what am I going to sleep on the floor?
Yeah, I know, but it depends though how you go in there though, innit? Like, you probably went in there clean, right?
I am homeless. I don't actually have a fixed address. Do you know what I mean? From me staying at hotels or whatever, from, do you know what I mean? From money that I make through whatever I do and my mothers or my mother-in-laws.
Yeah, just family and people being around to support you.
Exactly.
If you need to be there. But essentially, I don't have any right to go and say, this is home.
That's mine. Yeah, and I haven't done since.
Yeah, I know, but then with that, okay, obviously,
I mean?
so being a care leaver, you have a PA. PAs have like maybe 100 people in their caseload. I know Mike was one before and they got to go around everywhere. So you're getting less support post 18 than before, but then you've got housing solutions, other people who would obviously try to help you as well.
No, exactly. And to be fair, in this scenario, housing solutions were really good.
But what I was going to say is, you get more help than others, and that's far from enough help, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
So what about all these other young people?
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
How difficult must that be?
And the thing is as well, is I don't feel like there's enough platforms for them to actually excel. Do you know what I mean? When I worked with you when I was 17, right? I didn't even know I liked the gym. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that about myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It took me coming and working with you and getting in a gym and going, actually,
to realise
I love
because
all it is just the opportunity, right?
But
so I've spoken to a few people because, like I said to you, like I want to sort set things up.
Yeah, but what does the gym do? Like, obviously,
it's a healthy habit, isn't it?
And it releases endorphins, helps you feel positive, good about yourself.
But it also gives them a hobby and something to do.
Yeah. So even if it isn't that I'm going to be like a PT or an owner,
or a bodybuilder,
I'm still doing something
positive,
good, which is making me feel good.
Making you feel good, exactly.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Remember when I said about the devil makes work for idle hands? If you're on your way to the gym, and T-Traps pulls up on you and goes, I've got a job for you, bro. You're like, no, I'm on the way to the gym. Sorry.
Mashing gym, brothers.
Do you know what I mean?
Back and biceps today, yeah? Shout me after.
Yeah, you know what I mean? No, you've got less of that, pull, because you've got something to do.
You have a purpose.
Even if you bump into 10, I mean, I've had it myself. I've been in this situation, right? You bump into 10 of your pals, right? They're all sitting there smoking weed, doing this, that, other, shotting. They're like, hey, yo, Rhys, come on. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm on the way to the gym, innit? I might see you after. Or after I've been gym, I don't even want to see them. I want to go home and eat some chicken.
Man, negative.
You know what I mean?
You guys do your thing.
I don't want to smoke no weed.
You're going to be doing that next year.
Yeah, I'm all right. I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? That's good. And the thing is and a lot of these people now, in terms of my life today, is I've completely outgrown. These friends that I had when I was that age, they're not my friends anymore.
And that's probably because they're still doing the same thing. Because
they're still doing the same thing.
The same 100%,
thing. That's exactly what's happening.
But
and they're trapped in this cycle though. And this is the thing, Dan. And the cycle is so extreme today, I believe personally, from being a part of it, seeing it, but still living in the same city, still knowing the same people, still having them on my phone, seeing their stories, seeing what they're up to. Right?
Social media though,
no, but what I'm saying is though, but it's embarrassing what they're posting. They ain't posting anything good. Do you know what I mean? I look at it and I think, what? And I think, and I'm thinking, what after that? 13.
Go on, mate.
You're like 24 and you're posting pictures of yourself for some dead Air Force creps, talking with a fire in your pocket, got money I have to make. But what are you talking about? They're just talking shit.
You know what though? But in some cases, say for example, with some of those young people who've then turned adults, like sometimes if you've been abused and certain things happen, you can be trapped in that mindset and you're unable to grow. It's me, innit? I'm always looking at positives in people. Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of bums, mate, who do nothing. But I feel like one thing I try to look at, I look at things from being in that person's shoes and from their lens and think, if I was them, I probably would be the same.
No, but this is the thing, and this is exactly where I don't agree with this, right? Because
if you had the same opportunities as them...
No.
But if you was them, you had the same opportunities as them, you're going to end up like them.
Nah, because you're them. Because this is the thing, right? And this is what I believe in. I believe in self-accountability, complete self-accountability, right? I believe that you are the person that, your decisions make you the person that you are, right? I could list you 100.
But if you're that person,
what I'm saying is every person, every millionaire, every billionaire, every successful person could give you 100 reasons as to why they're on the street homeless. Probably, but they didn't. They said that, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make something of my life. Do you know what I mean? So I know from your point of view, being a support worker, you want to give back.
No.
From my point of view, I look at these people and I think you're choosing to do this, and like I said to you, there isn't a lot of platforms. There's not. And there needs to be more. There needs to be more support. Of course there does. But there does need to be a point where you look at it.
No. Listen. You've always got to take self-accountability for things, yeah? But if opportunities are presented with you, then you kind of take them, yeah? And you can't knock a trier or somebody who's trying to better themselves, yeah?
Of course.
One of the things I always do, and I used to normally be working with young people, and I need work, I need that. I'll say, would you work at McDonald's? They're like, no, I've done that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, well, you're not that bothered about working then, yeah? Because that's your opinion. About anything, I'm like, because if I had to go and pay my bills like for the houses and things what I own, yeah, I'll go and work at McDonald's now.
Yeah, but of course.
I'm fortunate enough that I've got brains and I've had to do other things, yeah, so I don't have to do that. If I had to,
that's what I would do.
I'll do it.
This is what I'm saying, and I've said, and I had this conversation with people.
It's just before, that mindset.
Do you know what I mean? It's like if that's like your level, yeah, and like you want to do these things, it's like because I always hear this phrase thrown around as well all the time. Oh, you know, the government and me. No, they didn't. You committed a crime. You know what I'm saying? So but what these people have now, yeah, is they've got like some sort of like inside resentment with their upbringing.
Yeah, but who you blaming though? But what I'm saying is,
I'm not blaming nobody.
No. I'm talking about these people. Like they're
blaming the police.
Yeah, but I know people who are blaming because this happened or that happened. Listen, you get out of life what you put in.
That's what I'm saying.
So
that's
like you need to graft,
innit?
If you put hard work in, something will happen. Yeah, at some point.
God loves a trier.
Well, everyone loves a trier. Yeah, everyone loves a trier. I'm not being funny. If you try, like I've got one guy. He's called. Not sure who it was. Me and Mike done this project where we've got a barber. So we've got two barbers, a hairdresser and a barber. Yeah. And then we took loads of food down there as well. Made loads of food, like a big roast dinner with a load of them down there.
That's what I'm saying. Them there
those trimming.
Those are things that I love to hear. Everybody got a haircut. Everyone got a haircut. I love to hear those things though. You know how you're saying like how, like I don't want this to like look like a video where like I'm coming off of the negative and you're coming off the positive. I don't want it to be like that.
No. You're just saying how it is, isn't it? You're just saying
what I'm saying is though, but those things there are the positives and those are the things that I love to hear. Do you know what I mean? That's what we need. That's that. And do you know how meaningful those things are to them young children? Like you probably may not even understand. Do you understand? As I do.
Yeah,
you walk away from that situation, yeah, you go back to your room and you're so happy.
No, of course. But
you feel like you feel. No, you know what you do, Dan? You feel listened to. You feel seen. You feel heard.
Yeah, but we know everybody knows how just having a haircut can make you feel brand new.
No, but I don't mean that. But it's not about. I'm not saying that. It's not about the haircut. It ain't about the food. It's about the fact that someone bothered.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and they probably never had no one bother. So to someone to come in and go, oh, and offer you, it's nothing to do with the haircut. It's nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but I just feel like
it's got something. Of course, the haircut's great, extra, da.
But I feel like collectively, just showing that. Like I had some of them used to say to us, nah, bruv, Tuesdays are the best days, yeah, because we know. And actually, one of the most powerful things someone said to me was, we always look forward to a Tuesday because we know that at least we're going to have a proper meal on a Tuesday because we were coming in.
That's what I said to you earlier,
so
innit?
They would look forward to that, yeah, us coming in. Even though, like, you used to have fair share and Greg's would drop food off and that. But that's not really real food, though,
No.
We'd come in and we'd actually get them involved and cook some food with them. Barbecues, everything. Kind of help all of them in whichever way we can. I mean, that was really powerful. Don't get me wrong, some of them, there is some good work what goes on. Like, I do know one or two people who have ended up getting their own place over it. And then even with that, we then used to get budgets where we'd take them shopping, we'd get them to write down what they might need. We'd take them shopping, like Lidl, get them some bits, drop shopping off to some of them. Because this was around COVID times where everyone was struggling and a lot of them were suffering. And just to help them feel like that people cared.
Yeah,
and you know, whenever I drive down the road, like, I had one of the guys jump out. He was going, a Range Rover. He just jumped out. Don't get me wrong, it was a clapped out Range Rover, but he jumped out. He's gone, yeah, you know, I've got 4 kids now. I was like, what? 4 kids, fair play. He's gone, twins in there. He's gone, yeah, doing all right now. The Range, he moved out with the missus. And I was like, he went, nah, thanks for everything what you've done. I went, oh, mate, it was all good. And he was just like, nah, it meant a lot. And I mean, as the car park, just come out in the gym.
Yeah.
Another guy I give a pair of trainers to because he had a job in the car wash. But he showed me his trainers. He had a hole in the bottom, and he was getting problems with his feet, like athlete's foot.
Yeah.
So gave him a pair of my trainers. Yeah, dropped him off. He was able to work there.
Just
and then he
giving
ended
out
up
trainers.
yeah, but it was a pair of trainers I had, like didn't really wear, and I was like, look, we're going to wash cars
Well,
with them,
they're
mate.
boot.
Just have them like.
Yeah.
It's better than. Roll around in
Whatever you're wearing,
kayaks, mate. These were like kayaks, but I've let him water in. Like,
Yeah,
exactly. So that was cool, but I just mean it's just important. There are a lot of good workers. I've been blessed to work with some really good workers. Give a shout out to like Mike. You know Mike, who's been really
100%.
good. Worked with another guy at one of these foundations. I worked at Joel. He's a social worker who's really good, who go above and beyond. And sometimes, man, just those little tweaks are important. Another guy I know who works in the care business, Matt, someone I need to get on this channel. There are some really
There's another
people.
one, if you want to do shout outs as well, is my work at the moment is Emily Wheeler. And she's from CGL, youth transitional.
Wheeler, I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's youth transitional.
Heard of her.
Because she's with the criminal justice as well.
Okay.
So she's a transitional.
Like transition. Okay, yeah. So she's from so if you're coming from youth probation to both, she does a bit of work with both.
So transfer.
Rather than all right, boom.
But she's been probably since you the best work I've ever worked with.
What about that lady before?
Which one?
Man, there was a probation worker or something.
Oh, Beth. She was alright until she recalled me.
Yeah, but you must have been taking the piss.
No, I didn't actually take the piss, to be fair. Do you know why I actually got recalled? Was because I had no fixed address and they kicked me out for some bull.
But what's she supposed to do? Her hands are tied, no?
She could have answered the phone.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but what time did you call?
I was calling her all day. I was apparently wanted for 3 days. I didn't even know about it. I was sat at my mum's. Why couldn't you find me?
Yeah,
they said I was unlawfully, what's the word they call it? Unlawfully at like something. And I'm like, thinking, I've been at my mum's, mate. I'm evicted, right? And you have my mum's address on paper and you can't find me for 3 days.
Yeah, because if your mum's like made you homeless, it's the last place they might think you're going to be. They might just think you're just on
No, because me and my mum were taught that the police
I know that, but what I'm saying is when they look on paper, they're like, whoever the coppers on the beat are, they just might be like, all right, well, no fixed abode. No, not getting on with his mum. Only some of them who know you.
No, of course, but that's the only other address that would be wrote down for me. Is my mother's.
When they got loads going on, but you're like...
You know what? They can't knock on the door.
Nah, because they might have young people who are missing they're looking for.
Yeah, but I'm unlawfully obeying.
You're an adult.
What's it?
You're an adult.
Yeah, I know, but they tried to make it sound crazy.
No, they are, but what I'm saying is you're an adult. Like, if it was a pop up on like Sussex News, do you know this guy? Where is he?
Yeah, it was mad. I was like,
skipped bail.
I was like, what? I've been at my. I said, I didn't even. I said, first and foremostly, I've been calling you, so you could have told me that I wanted for recall, and I would have just come in. So you don't need to. It was just irrelevant, really. But that was crazy. But this is what I was saying to you before, right? Remember when you asked me before about like, so am I one of them people who went to jail and come out and thought that's not for me? And I said to you, actually, to be fair, it wasn't actually like that at all. It was the second time round, right? Because the first time I said to you, I was very comfortable. Remember when we talked about that? And I said to you, had all my favourite CDs, Xbox. I was happy, right? Come out, told you I wanted to go back. I ended up staying out for quite a while, for about like a year and a half. Stayed out considering I wanted to go back. Do you know what I mean? And then when I did get recalled because of having no address, because that was part of the license conditions, was that I stayed at an address. And having no address is breaking the conditions. So they recalled me. They sent me straight to Lewis. And I can't lie, it was terrifying, but not in a way that you would expect someone to describe jail as being terrifying. Not terrifying because I was in danger. It was terrifying at the people I was meeting and how far I'd outgrown these people. And I'm speaking with 40-year-olds who sound like they're 12. And I'm having a conversation, I'm thinking, am I really here?
What, they on the old spice and stuff or what?
Mate, it's just, Absolutely. It's just a school playground, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's literally...
Pringles things coming over and jumping.
Hey, listen, I don't want all the prisons against you right now up here, but calling them all out. Yeah. There's a few good guys in there. There really is, right? There genuinely is a few good guys in there, good people. However, most of them, and them good guys in them prisons will agree with me, are just complete and utter waste, man. And it's just, and it's, and
it must be heartbreaking.
The fact is I'm now in a cell, right? Just like they are. And I'm thinking, wow, like, am I like them? Because I'm not. And I know I'm not. And that was it. That was the change for me. It was like, nah, I am never, ever, ever coming back to this place. I'm not like these people. Do you know what I mean? I deserve more for my life. I deserve more for me. I had such an epiphany going to Lewis. Because I can't lie, I don't know what's up with Lewis. So it's crazy in there. Rochester's all right. That's where I've done most of my time is Rochester. Rochester's all right. You meet some decent people in there. They're finishing off their bird. It's a sea cat. And it's for when you're nearly finished. So people are all right. They're comfortable. They're leaving in 6 months.
Yeah, no one's really like trying to...
Yeah. Lewis, everyone's on remand. They don't know what's happening. It's a high tension place. People have just gone in there for just overnight. You know what I mean? Like, you just meet total idiots, really. But like I say, it was just the fact that I am now lowered to their level. And I don't think of myself like that. I started to build quite a life for myself, just before I was going, just before as well. Same way again. It's weird how the world works. Was I'd started to build myself up and start doing things, started working, doing this sort of stuff. And then boom, recall slapped me back in Lewis. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, really, I'm with these idiots. I need to be doing more for me. And this is when I said to you how I'm such a big believer in self-accountability, right? Because I could sit here now and I could go like I did, yeah? So this is not me being hypocritical at all because I'm owning what I said, right? Is I'm saying, how I was groomed, yeah? But every decision I made that decision. Do you know what I mean? So I could have been groomed, yeah, cool, of course. That probably was the case. However, I chose to do that. I could have said no. Do you know what I mean? I was influenced, of course. However, taking full accountability...
Yeah, no, but I hear that. But some people, there's a lot of young people, we're running out of time now, but there's a lot of young people who may have, special needs and they don't really understand those social cues who
Of course.
cannot really take accountability because they don't really know what they're doing.
No, of course,
no. In those cases, but I get what you're saying. Generally, so I'm saying generally.
But I just think there is a point of time where you need to really look at yourself and think, are the decisions that I am making beneficial to my life, or is it beneficial to somebody else?